Imagine being split into dozens of versions of yourself, each with a spaceship, a mission, and wildly different ideas on how to save the human race. In For We Are Many, the Bobs are back, and things are about to get even weirder. I'm Candace Rodarty.
I'm Space Cadet Shane.
And this is Sci-Fi Book Pod. So today we are talking about For We Are Many, the second book in the Bobiverse series by Dennis E. Taylor. Dennis E. Taylor is a Canadian retired computer scientist who started writing because his wife, because, you know, wives do this, his wife told him to either put up or shut up when it came to complaining about other people's writing.
Sounds about right.
So Shane, or Space Cadet, catch us up on what's going on. Where are we in the book series? Book 2 of 5.
Shoot. I think you better do this. I'm not familiar.
You don't know where we are. Okay, so book 1, We Are Legion, We Are Bob, ended with the first colonists being decanted onto their new home planets. And there are 2 new home planets, Romulus and Remus.
Right.
Is that right? Or is it Vulcan and... It's Vulcan and... It's Vulcan
and... Romulus and Remus. I don't know.
No, it's Vulcan. It's Vulcan and Romulus, maybe. I'm not sure. I can't remember the name. It's very Star Trek themed. So the first humans have been decanted from cryo sleep or whatever that is when they put you to sleep and freeze you.
Cryo, yeah.
Yeah, cryo sleep. So they've been decanted from cryo sleep, and they are now populating the 2 new planets. And the reason why you need 2 planets is because even though there's only 15 million humans left, they are still bickering and fighting with each other.
Exactly.
So our protagonist, Bob, and his cohort, the other Bobs, have decided that it's just best if they not all live together. And they sort of decided themselves, too, that they didn't... Humans decided...
They wanted different planets, too.
And so the Bobs, who are clones of Robert Johansson, who was a human that lived a little bit in the future from today, but not very much. They are all clones that were turned into computers 100, I think this book expands maybe 50 years or so in Bobiverse time, but in human time it's a little less than that. But so we're 150 years in the future, and Robert Johansson's clone, Bob, has started cloning himself. Bob is a computer with a VR, so a virtual reality, and each Bob has a different personality. And these Bobs, their primary goal is to save humanity, even if humanity doesn't want to save itself. So that is where we pick up. We pick up where the first humans have been decanted, and that's the term from the book, onto their new planets.
Okay. The original Bob. Okay, so basically Bob's cohorts went and saved the humans. They're dealing with the human problems. Bill, who's another, either the third Bob or whatever. I think there's like 20 Bobs by now. Has a skunk works somewhere that makes all the new tech kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Bob himself, the first Bob, went on a separate way a little bit to do exploring. And this is actually in the first book. And he comes across a new species, and because he's looking for...
He finds an inhabited planet.
Yeah, because he's looking for planets too, for humans to settle on. So that's the whole thing, is they're looking for planets to settle on. So Bob went off this area, and he found
that's their primary objective that was programmed into them by the Faith Enclave, which is the iteration of the United States after Civil War and the far right takes over. The Faith Enclave programmed into him the objective of finding a new home for humans.
Yeah, so he's out there, and then he stumbles on this planet that has indigenous people, and he gets himself really involved with them, almost like family scenario, like where he starts to help them make stone tools. I mean, he really gets deep into it. And even you, the person who's reading this or listening to this, going to go, I don't know if that's a great idea. Because it's kind of like if you're a Star Trek guy, if you're and the narrator or the writer is a big Star. You can tell he's a bigger Star Trek fan than a Star Wars fan, by far.
Yeah.
It even says so. And so this whole why Bob stumbles against this planet, I think he really wanted to get. He has like 2 or 3 stories going at one time. But I think he really wanted to get into this where he kind of like the prime directive part is that what happened because people like today we do this today, okay? We think we're first world countries, okay, for whatever reason, because we have more technology, okay. So we think because we have more technology that these third world countries love us, they want us to come in and modernize everything, right? And that's where somewhat the prime directive comes in, and that's what Bob is doing. Bob is doing is somewhat he found a little toy he's playing with, and as he's doing this, and he has to create other Bobs. And Marvin, I think it's Marvin's going, I don't know, Bob. I think you're getting yourself way too involved in this, and he is helping Bob, but he's also telling Bob. At the same time, is just like, you're just getting deeper and deeper and deeper in this, all right? You're creating more problems and problems and problems. And then even the village says, and this is in this book, says, look, you're trying to help us, but at the same time, you're creating bigger problems for us. and we're our civilization and people are not even close of basically accepting this new, farming and arrows and all this other stuff. And he's doing it in good intentions, and that's the point, is good intentions. And hence, the prime directive is somewhat good intentions. Is that...
Well, he doesn't... It's not Star Trek. He basically says there is no prime directive. This is just me. And each iteration of Bob... And if you don't understand what we're talking about, go back to episode 1, because we cover this, the technology in episode 1. Where we talk about the first book in the series, We Are Legion, We Are Bob. So, but this iteration of Bob has a certain set of values. Well, every single version of Bob has their own set of values because clones are not identical. They are each unique, and there's humanity. Each of them has their own level of humanity. And just like 2 humans talking to each other, I mean, Shane and I, or Space Cadet and I, we've been married for 27 years, but that doesn't mean that we agree on everything.
No.
We have very specific, and unique perspectives on things. And, some humans think it's okay to interfere with cultures that are different than theirs. And some humans think, no, we don't want to interfere with other cultures. We just need to let them be.
It's you're really into this clone. It really goes into colonialism.
Colonialism, yeah.
Yeah. Is that basically that, and I never really understood this myself, is that, it's like the Native Americans here. That's what he's really messing around with, is really the Native Americans here, is that, Europeans come over and it's just like, no, everybody wants to worship this God. Everybody wants to, go to heaven and this, that, and the other thing. Everybody wants this technology and this, that, and the other thing. And it's like, no, we don't. We don't want
Yeah,
this.
It's really interesting because some people in this culture, they're called Deltans. Bob names them Deltans because of the planet that they're on. So these Deltans, some of them interact with Bob. Presents himself as a little orb. He's a probe, a football-sized probe. And some of the Deltans interact with him and have conversations with him. One in particular, Archimedes. And some of them are afraid of him. Some of them don't want him around. Diana, who is Archimedes' wife, doesn't like Bob at all.
Right.
And eventually, the people in the village kick him out and say, "We're done with you. We don't want you, Sky God. Go away."
Right.
And it's really interesting. It's very, very interesting because if given the choice to kick your God out, what would you do?
Right.
And I mean, not that this particular village considers him a god, but some did create an altar to him.
Yeah, but the thing is, on when I was listening to this, is that that how the Deltans react to Bob is more of kind of a Greek mythology thing. In other words,
Kind of a Stargate thing too.
yeah. So it's not like a Jesus thing, or anything like that. It's more of basically because in mythology, Greek mythology, is that the people recognize that the gods were cruel and petty, right? And they could go, we don't like you, go away. All right, you're a bad god, and we can go help you. So, and actually, there's in indigenous, because they're all like different gods all the time, right? It's just like there's this god, this god, this god, this god. So the Deltans see Bob, like you just said, is that one sees him this way, one sees him that way, and one sees him that way. And I think that's the thing about the whole books, really, the series that really works, is that he doesn't put humans into or into like one category. They all think this way. They all think this way. They all think this way. In other words,
it's For We Are Many is the title of the book.
Yeah. So in other words, there's a part of the population that thinks this way. There's a population that thinks this way. There's a population that thinks this way, and then we all group each other together, because that's what the book is. You have a lot of different groups. And how do these groups intermingle with each other? And always the problem child in all this, all right, is always the high end. The right. You could call it right. You could call it whatever. It's kind of like the old Catholic Church, all right, where basically if you don't think our way, we're going to excommunicate you and we're going to put you in a dungeon and this, that, and the other thing. There's that present of that hanging through the whole series, because that is part of our population. That's always going to be part of our population. And then you have this really compassionate, side. And that side is always being taken advantage of, all right? And then they get resentful kind of thing. So like the past, like I just listened to the end of the books, the second book, where basically they save the path. Because of the others. We haven't gotten to the other part because they find another species that just destroys planets. And now they have to save Earth, the people, again.
Yeah, so first contact was with the Deltans, and second contact was with a planet that had been completely annihilated, and third contact was with the species that annihilated the second contact.
Yeah. So but
spoiler alerts.
Yeah. So this.
Wait, what did River Song say? Spoilers.
The second book, it's kind of like you get these novels, you get these books. If you have a series, you need a connector book. Okay, so the 2 is actually a connector book for the next 2 or 3 ones. So it kind of like sets the stage for everything, kind of stuff like that. But the second book is basically really deals with getting humans off the Earth. That's problematic because there's 15. Their carrier ships only hold 10,000. They don't have enough resources.
Yeah. So there's 15 million humans left on Earth. The carrier ships can hold 10,000 in cryostasis. And 10,000 into 15 million is a lot of trips.
Yeah, and through a lot of time. And they know they can't get it all done, kind of thing.
So they concentrate a lot in this book on keeping the 15 million left on the planet alive.
Right, because that's a problem. So it really
and dealing with the terrorists who want to destroy everybody.
Since the author is an engineer.
No, he's a scientist.
Oh, is he a scientist?
Yeah, he's a computer scientist.
But if you know anything about, let's put it this way: if you're a homeowner. You start a project, which leads to another project, which leads to something else, which leads to something else. Before you know it, you're going 5 trips to the plumbing store.
Our house is 100 years old, and I'm looking at a window that doesn't close.
So,
I mean, it closes, but not all the way.
But and so every time they have a problem and they get a solution, that solution creates more problems. and then they have to solve that problem, and then it just comes like this redundant thing, whatever. And if you just had that story along in the book, it would become redundant. It would get boring and this and the other thing because you know what the next chapter would be like.
Yeah, you don't get 5 books out of a storyline unless you can keep coming up with new ideas and new concepts.
Yeah. So the more they explore, the more that they try to solve problems, creates new problems, kind of thing. So the more they explore, especially the space thing, they do end up seeing these other creatures or these other things, and
which is logical.
And the thing in Star Trek, was that if you explore, you're gonna sooner or later you're gonna end up with somebody with far more technology or far more philosophy than you have. And
so you've been very anti Star Wars lately, which I understand. However, you are the artist behind some of the artwork on the back of my. We'll have to put up a Star Trek picture. But, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago, we were having a conversation, and I said, well, everybody knows that Star Wars happened a long, long time ago, and Star Trek is a future that, we all, I mean, really.
Is it Star Trek?
The world of Star Trek is, the world of Star Trek is aspirational.
Right.
For many of us, me included.
Right.
That's the world we want to see.
Right.
No more poverty, no more hunger.
Right.
Everybody has a chance to do what they want. I mean, is it perfect? No. And they do touch on that in some of the Star Trek iterations that it's not perfect, that there is the growing pains of making sure that the people who, that everybody has something to do, because people who are constantly taken care of and don't feel self-worth. Not all of them, but, having to balance the self-worth with not having to worry about dying of hunger or influenza, right? So Star Trek is this aspirational world. So there are many different types of looking at the future, and in the Bobiverse, it's a little bit of a mix of all of that.
Right.
Humans aren't anywhere near the reasonable utopia of Star Trek, but they're also not as bad as some of the other speculative fiction can be.
I think what happens is in sci-fi, and what makes a good sci-fi story, by the way, is kind of like a good Gunsmoke story. Is that no matter how technology changes, okay, humans are going to be the exact same petty, awful people that they were when they came out of the caves. Okay, all right.
And Star Trek puts the pettiness and the icky characteristics of humanity on other species.
Right, and so
it's too perfect.
Yeah. So what Star Trek does is that it says we have evolved from those pettinesses and so on. But we really don't ever evolve from these pettinesses.
Yeah. So let's bring it back to Bob.
Okay.
Hey, why am I? We'll go ahead and wrap up that thought, but let's come back to Bob.
Okay. My point is that what Bob does is that he makes it. The author says this all the time in the thing, is that basically no matter where it is, where we at, or this and the other thing, all right, humans have this pettiness that is destructive to itself, okay? But at the same time of all this pettiness and all this basically backstabbing and all this basically it's mine, is that you do have this slight majority, and this is all you actually need to push the flower through the concrete, is this kindness and compassion part. Okay? In other words, you don't get 8 billion of us on a freaking planet right now if you don't have this kindness and compassion part. There
are enough people with kindness and compassion.
Exactly. So sci-fi gives this hope of the future.
Yes.
Of why, are we going to destroy ourselves, or are we going to continue? All right. And what is that mechanism to continue? And this mechanism to continue is that basically, whether we like it or not, there's enough of us that our DNA structure has this. Oh, we got to save the baby.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Oh, we have to take care of this person who's blind. Okay. We have to take care of this person who's crippled.
Yeah, there's enough of us with that level of compassion
That sees ourselves within that.
and
right?
even if it feels like that isn't the direction that humanity is taking,
right.
it is the direction that we are going.
And that's why we have 8 billion of us.
Yeah,
Is that we always go up to the edge. We do. We always go up to that edge. All right, but but there's always somebody. There's always somebody that's going to grab that person before they go over the edge. And I guess this really does explain Bob universe that's going off the edge, willingly going off the edge. All right, but there is a person that grabs that person and pulls them back. Right, and the thing is, you don't know why you're doing it. You don't know why you're doing. This son of a SOB could fall off the earth, and that's fine. He should be thrown off the earth, right? But there's a little bit of part of you that says, no, we that we have to save that, and that's actually where the Deltans, where Bob keeps on trying to save, and that's the whole premise of it. Even if these are rotten SOBs. All right.
yeah.
But on the 2 planets, to go back to basically saving planet to Earth people, is that he does have this one planet that it's Howard. Howard's working with this planet.
Ragnarok.
Yeah. No, is it Ragnarok? I can't remember. They all start mixing up. But Howard actually works with the Major, or what's his name?
Oh, yeah, that's on Vulcan.
Yeah, so he works with them, and these are your common people. These are your people, you go, yeah, I'd be in that group, I'd be in that sandbox, all right, because they're all working together and they're trying to make a thing for themselves, and they're kind of researching history and this and the other thing, all right. Yeah. I wouldn't be with those people over there on the other planet who basically want to, automatically. Well,
eventually they get so sick of their leader that they boot him out.
The thing about that, like you said about the other one they boot out because he gets far righty, is that lasts for only a decade, and then his daughter comes back and basically does the whole same damn thing, or some of his family members. And
you're moving ahead. I haven't read that book yet, or listened to that book yet. So we have been talking about For We Are Many by Dennis E. Taylor. We didn't get into the narrator of the audiobook. Maybe we'll talk about that in the next episode where we cover All These Worlds, which is book 3 of the Bobiverse series, which came out in August of 2017, so about 6 months after this book. So there are 5 books in the Bobiverse series. We are going to cover all 5 of them. This has been the second of the series covering the Bobiverse book. Something that Bob enjoys is drinking coffee. Shane and I enjoy drinking Space Cadet. Shane and I enjoy drinking coffee. And we are on the search for the perfect decaf. We like very bold, dark roast coffee, but we are looking for a decaf. So subscribe and leave a comment and tell us what your favorite decaf coffee is. We'd love to hear it. If you have not read this book yet, you can pick up your copy of For We Are Many by Dennis E. Taylor on bookshop.org, where every purchase supports indie bookstores. We are all about supporting those independently owned bookshops.
Yes.
Or you can grab the audiobook on audible.com. Our affiliate links are in the show notes. When you purchase through our affiliate links, you do support this show. It is free to listen, but it is not free to produce a podcast.
You mentioned coffee, and it just hit me right now, okay? That I've noticed that, hold on, check this out. Here's how you know that you're in a good sci-fi book, by the way. They all have coffee in it. In Voyager, what was Janeway's biggest thing?
Coffee.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Joshua Dalzell.
Yeah. Joshua Dalzell
in both the series, in his Black Fleet book and in this, but mainly is basically they miss coffee.
Yeah.
And this one was about the coffee. And so you can tell you're in a good sci-fi book is that basically they make coffee kind of like the priority of all their supplies.
So speaking of Joshua Dalzell, premium subscribers can listen to my interview with Joshua Dalzell on my other podcast, Gratitude Geek. I have a very special re-edit of that interview just for premium listeners of Sci-Fi Book Pod.
Okay.
All right. So the benefits of going premium are interviews with authors and other surprise guests. And there will be surprise guests.
Yeah, you have some narrators coming up.
Yeah. So there are surprises. There are surprises.
Yeah. You have,
but there are some author interviews may or may not already be uploaded to the premium version of the podcast, but there will be more as this podcast evolves. I'm sure that we'll get Dennis Taylor on the, to come on the show. I'm sure that we'll get other people on the show. But join us in the premium area. You can interact with Shane and I, Space Cadet Shane and I. You can suggest books that we read in the future. We do have a list of speculative fiction books. Some of them I've never read. So we do have some guests that are lined up that, we haven't recorded those episodes yet, but this is going to be a very, very fun.
Space Cadet Second Class. That's what I wanted to write on there. Now I remember. Okay, thank you.
Space Cadet Second Class. Okay, well. Okay,
my rank will go up as I go up. All right. I think the audience should basically, say, I think Shane's ready for a promotion.
Is that what you aspire to as a promotion?
Yeah. You should be Admiral.
Thank you. Okay, I'll be Admiral Candace Rodarty.
All right.
And you're Space Cadet Second Class Shane Rodarty.
Yeah. That sounds
and I don't
about
think
right.
I don't think that ethically that the space Navy would allow us to marry each other.
Right. But I actually have a drawing that I'll use for the background once I get it all set up.
Oh, okay.
And it has nothing.
Maybe for the next episode.
It has no Star Wars reference. It has no other Star Trek reference. It is some sci-fi thing that I created a long time ago that has no copyright problems whatsoever.
But maybe for the next episode right here.
Right.
There'll be a beautiful painting of the Enterprise.
Right.
Okay, so I've been Candace Rodarty.
I'm Space Cadet Shane Second Class.
Oh, wait, hold on. I'm Admiral Candace Rodarty.
There you go.
And you are Space Cadet Second Class Shane Rodarty.
That's right.
And this has been Sci-Fi Book Pod.
That's right.